Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the Yeedi Vac station. This is a smart robot vacuum cleaner that has a interesting self-emptying charging station. What that means is when it goes to the dock to automatically charge itself back up, it will take all of the lint and dust that it's collected and push it into this top compartment, which has a larger space. And then after a month's worth of automated regular cleaning, all you need to do is pick up the bag from the top lid and then just throw it into the trash, compared to the smaller compartment from the robot itself that you usually have to clean every single time you use it. Technically, that means you can go on vacation and your house will still be clean because the robot will be working for you to keep things dust-free, which is kind of an interesting idea. So anyways, the companion app, which you can download for iOS or Android, also allows you to control different things like the modes of the clean, set up different automated schedules, and also provision different regions of the room so that you can say the robot should clean in one spot, but stay away from another zone. It has a camera lens that will detect the entire room, so it will try and plan out its best path and prevent itself from going over the same spot too many times. Has over 3,000 PAs of suction strength, which is also very good for a thin robot cleaner, so it should pick up quite a lot of dust. This is a part of their Vac series, so if you wanted to, you can also pick up just the robot, and you can also purchase the self-emptying charging station on its own. You can add on a wet mop as well, so you can both mop and vacuum like a two-in-one. In terms of the competition, there are some other models as well that are beginning to have this self-emptying feature. Its closest rival would be iRobot's i3 Plus series, which retails for about $100 more and also has less suction strength. Packaging also is pretty well put together. All of these come in separate little cardboard boxes, and they all can be recycled. This one, for example, which has the gears icon, includes some of the extra accessories, including this transparent plastic lid that you can actually snap onto the bottom of the station, like this, which might make it a little easier for the robot to roll onto this surface. We've also got access to the aforementioned mopping compartment, so this fabric part is also attached using Velcro and can be cleaned off. We also find some extra dust bags, so these are for the charging station so that you can pop it in there and then all the trash will get emptied into one of these. So that might be an accessory that you can purchase more of separately in the future. And here's also a quick start guide, a side brush for the robot itself, and also we have the AC charging adapter for the station to plug into the wall, and also a screwdriver. The larger compartment is just where the robot sits, and then just lift it upwards and we see the Vac station unit here just on top. We have a very clean finish here, although I believe it only comes in one color, which is white at the moment. So very well presented and carefully packaged. Alright, so the robot itself has a few different protections that we can remove. A couple of first impressions is the entire unit is actually quite slim in terms of profile, and it's completely flush. So this will have no problems in terms of getting underneath couches and beds and furniture. And it doesn't have one of those kind of pop-up sensors. Instead, the SLAM camera here is completely flush. And that's because the sensor here, SLAM, is still different from a LiDAR, which is found in some of the even more expensive robots that we've seen that uses laser mapping. Even if usually it's going to be a little bit slower compared to LiDAR, it's still going to be much better than traditional quote-unquote dumb robots, which don't have any sensing and are just randomly going into zigzag patterns in a room. You can still lift up the top section here to have access to the traditional dustbin if you want to still empty it yourself. A dedicated safety power switch, so only toggling this on will you be able to turn on the robot. And there's also a QR code you can scan when connecting it to the companion app for the first time. The speakers on here you can hear is also used to give you voice commands.
Scan the QR code on the robot to download the app and get started.
So it will tell you different things like when it's vacuuming, when the vacuuming is stopped if you want to, but you can also disable the speaker from the app. Now here we also see the dust compartment, which locks itself into place using the handle, which is pretty clever. I can kind of pull it up like so, and you can see that it also has a HEPA filter, so it prevents the dust from circulating when you are cleaning. On its own, the compartment of the dustbin inside the robot is actually quite small. More so, in fact, compared to some of the other units that we've been seeing recently. So I think that's maybe purposeful just because you'll also have the docking station, and every time it can just go to the dock to empty itself and keep on going. Additional little accessory connected on the base here you can use to remove any dust when you're trying to clean things off a little bit, maybe from the wheels, and also a kind of sharp razor-like knife that can be used to cut through if it's been caught in any fur or hair. And then on the base over here, we can also see an area that you can further remove. This is actually the water tank compartment, so that's for the mopping function, and you can hold down the seal here to just pour in any tap water, and then afterwards, of course, it will just dissipate using this pump slowly onto the wet mop area so that it will get this damp when you're going over a hardwood floor. If using the mop, it will just basically snap onto this bottom portion like so, but you can also remove it. I do like the fact that this is translucent, so you can still make out how much water is inside, as well as some additional sensors which are infrared that can also detect how close it is next to corners and edges. And turning it over, we can see this is what the wheels or the tires are like. They are actually quite thick and heavy duty, so it can definitely climb over surfaces like carpets without any problems. There is the side-mounted kind of brush that we saw in the accessory pack, but just like the Xiaomi DreamyBot L10 Pro that we reviewed the other day, it's a asymmetrical design, so we only have a brush on the left and nothing on the right. And finally, the bottom here is where the dust will get sucked into, and occasionally if there's any hair that gets caught, you can also open this up and clean it off. The docking station has the same design going on, inside of which we'll find the mini dust bags that you can just pull up using this little tab here, and then just the entire thing will pop out. Of course, it'll be full of dust when you are done, maybe after 30 days, and you can simply pop this into the garbage can. It's actually a very clever design here because when you're pulling upwards, you can see it's made out of cardboard, it locks all the dust inside, but when you actually put it into the compartment here and you're pressing down initially, it opens up this little hole, and that's how the dust is able to get pumped into this bag. Here's a view from the side. You can see that about half the height of this entire station isn't actually being occupied by this dust pocket. So maybe they could make it a little bit deeper and hold even more dust, but it is what it is. And you're just basically ready to go. So very easy to use, clean design. Just for reference, here's also next to a 6.5-inch phone, so you have an idea of how tall this is. It's about the height of a small garbage can that you might have in the kitchen. And also a quick profile view here just as reference. While it's being plugged in, you can see the LED lights there start to flash, and there's also an LED on the top of the charging station. The companion app called Yeedi, again, works with all of their robot cleaners that they've also made in the past. It's pretty easy to set up. Just tap on Add a Robot, and we're going to select the Yeedi Vac station here, and it will then prompt us to basically enter our Wi-Fi password. It knows that we have now connected a Yeedi Vac station, and currently it's in the charging state. And afterwards, we can tell the robot to have a do not disturb mode, which means that it will try to not clean itself when you're sleeping. You can turn on a continuous cleaning mode, so it will resume even if it's been charging and then continue where it's left off if it isn't done. You'll hear the speaker there on the robot confirm that you've set it up, and it will also tell you the battery percentage in the robot at the moment, what mode you're going to begin. It will do this kind of zigzag pattern across the room, which is the auto mode. You can also take a look at the auto emptying mode.
The dustbin.
You'll hear that sound, and basically that's using all the suction power to pump it into the top dustbin in the station. So that has been completed. So you can do this manually, or it will detect it and do it automatically after each clean when it docks. A few other tricks include finding the robot.
Here and ready to start.
So it will talk to you to know where it is. For example, if it's stuck under a bed, you can still try and locate it. Vacuum power right now is standard, but I can also try to bump it up into a kind of more aggressive mode, maximum mode, or a turbo mode that will be the 3000 suction strength. And then schedules can also be created, the volume amount of the speaker, also a few advanced settings like naming the robot, how long you've been using the side brush, the main brush, and the HEPA filter, so you'll know that you can replace it after a while of usage. And if there's any firmware updates, they can also be pushed over. Prep itself for cleaning, make sure we don't have too many objects in the floor, and then tap on start. And it should begin to automatically undock itself here and begin to scan the room and clean here shortly. Right, so right now it's just going along and pretty much creating this vertical pattern across the floor, as you can see there, and it's mapping it in real time with our app as it's finding the different corners of the room and trying to cover new area, as you can see there, as it learns and goes. Now, I do have to point out here, however, is that the auto tracking capabilities are, again, pretty precise, but again, not quite as good as a LiDAR sensor, which can also have some more advanced detection capabilities, like the aforementioned iRobot L10 Pro that was also able to avoid kind of smaller objects from the floor, and it would just go around it. Versus the SLAM sensor, it will detect the edges of a room, but because the camera is pointing upwards, if you have a smaller object like a sock in the middle of the floor, it will still kind of go over it or push it around. So make sure that your room is relatively clear of too many small objects, and it will still do a good job of planning its path. Volume levels are also relatively quiet, I have to say, for robot cleaners that has this section strength. Honestly, if you were, say, taking a nap, this actually wouldn't even be too distracting if it was in your bedroom, even at one of the higher levels. We can even see some of the markings it's made on the carpet here, so it has done a pretty good job in terms of really getting as much sucked out of the carpet here as it can. And we can also see on the session that it's completed the surface area of 108 feet squared and covered a clean of around 8 minutes. And if we wanted to, we can also return to the charger, and then it will try to recognize its location there and find it. It's because of the infrared sensor on the base, so it will know that's the general direction, and then it will try to climb into it, as you can see there, to quickly charge itself back up. And indeed, checking on how much dust is collected, quite a lot has been caught inside actually. It's almost entirely full, even though we just vacuumed this area just a few days ago. Alright, so that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Yeedi Vac station. And overall, again, it's quite clever in the fact that it can self-empty. The design itself is clean, suction strength is actually very good for robot vacuum cleaners, and very competitive with other units which are flagship grade and also starting to adopt this type of design from iRobot. So you can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Yeedi Vac Station series.